So today I'm doing a jet valve clearance adjustment on my 88 Chrysler Conquest. Now, this is the jet valve here, okay, and what that is an additional small valve on the intake side that helps to create swirl in the combustion chamber. Long story short, it's an emissions gimmick in my opinion. Most of the guys running performance engines on these cars, the G54Bs, get rid of those so they go a non-jet valve head. It's not really necessary. However, if they're not adjusted properly, they can cause issues, performance issues, as listed in the factory service manual, or rough idle, acceleration problems, because basically they're manually adjusted, whereas these rockers are not. They have a hydraulic lash compensator inside, and these are manually adjusted, and nobody ever adjusts these things, and that's the problem. So what happens is the valve will open too far or not enough, and this whole system is built upon knowing that valve is going to open a certain amount. So yeah, nobody ever adjusts these things. The older Starions, I believe in 85 and older, have manually adjusted valves just like this, right? They have an adjuster right here. These don't. They have a hydraulic lash compensator, which is great because then you don't have to adjust the valves manually. So these have to be manually adjusted, and they never get adjusted, okay? So looking at the factory service manual, it states the specification right here, okay? Jet valve rocker clearance, 0.25 millimeters. Notice that it says when the engine is hot. The problem with that, and the engine's not hot right now, the problem with that is that, you know, you heat the engine up, and by the time you get the valve cover off and start adjusting and you know, doing all that stuff, the engine starts to cool down, and then the tolerance changes. So, you know, I like to do it when it's cold. And to do that, I basically just add a little bit extra clearance, because as metal gets hot, it expands and gets tighter. So since we're doing it while it's cold, we need to adjust for that expansion. So basically I'm going to do a larger feeler gauge, okay? This is the specification per the book, 0.25 millimeters. If I go up 2 notches, okay, because on my feeler gauge, the next step up is 0.28 millimeters. So I'm going to go up 2 notches, right? So I'm going to compensate for that heat expansion by going with the slightly thicker feeler gauge, okay? But this is all just splitting hairs because nobody ever adjusts these things anyways, and I'm going to show you how far off these things really are. So, you know, don't be worried about tiny little, you know, 0.27 millimeters and 0.28 millimeters. You know, these things are just so far out of whack that don't worry about that. So this one was really tight, okay? So the valve was opening too much, really, really tight. I had adjusted a lot. This one was pretty close. This one, okay? And let me see if I can get in there to show you, right? It's kind of hard, my hand's gonna get in the way, but okay. Probably kind of hard to see that. Okay, I mean, there's 1,000 miles of clearance here. This thing is so, I mean, it's not even, I mean, I could probably stick double this thickness feeler gauge in there. Okay, it's probably double what it should be. So don't worry about tiny little, you know, the engine's hot and it has to be, you know, perfectly this adjustment. Get it pretty close, but this is there's, I mean, it's not even touching. That's how far off these things are. So what happens is they tend to get pretty tappety, especially when they're cold and before it heats up. And that's kind of what I'm hearing on this car. It's pretty tappety when it's warming up, and you can hear that jet valve just tapping along because the clearances are so high. So yeah, basically what you do is you just get the cam lobes in the down position, so facing opposite of the rocker, so it's not putting any pressure on the rocker, and then you do the adjustment with the 10 millimeter and a flathead screwdriver. It's kind of finicky, but there's only 4 of them to adjust. So I'll get those adjusted, and the car should run a lot better, should be a lot less tappety, and hope that helps somebody. Thanks for watching.